Out of the gates and ready to go. Welcome into this live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Jet Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. We got a loaded show on tap today. We'll go over the latest news and rumors, a final wrap-up from the NFL Draft Scouting Combine this past weekend. We have a full list of names that John Schneider and company met up with. We'll go over those names and talk about a couple players that stand out in our opening segment. Then we will bring you our third mock draft. It is Mock Draft 3.0, our post-combine pre-NFL free agency edition, and it is our first 7-round mock draft that we'll be bringing you coming up in just a little while from right now. And then in our final segment, it is a very important week for the Seattle Seahawks with free agency beginning a week from today. We are going to break down the major moves that Seattle could be making here in the next couple of days. I'm calling it the week that Seahawk fans have been waiting for. We'll bring that to you coming up in just a bit. Pleased to have you all here. As you guys file in, shout out your city. We'll shout you out as we get this show off and rolling. We are coming at you from the Chat Sports Studios here in downtown Dallas, Texas on this very fine Monday afternoon. Just had a nice little weekend in Austin. Went out there for the NASCAR race at Circuit of the Americas. Had a great time this weekend. Friend of the show, Brett Alper and I, and Will Scott. We enjoyed ourselves out there. But good to be back here with the 12s talking Seahawks football in this very important week here for Seattle. Let us know where you guys are at. Dan the Man Miller says, let's go, Tyler. Tyler says we need to draft Tyler Jones from Chat Sports. I don't think you want me playing football. I don't know if that's a great idea, but I appreciate the compliment. Liam says, aloha. Ryan is checking in from Richmond. I got Joel in Longview. I got Andrew in Juneau, Alaska. How cold is it up there, Andrew? Got Cecil in Lacey, Washington. Got Tyler in Vancouver. Rel Allen in Bakersfield. Ray says, I hope we don't see no DK trade destinations. We are not talking DK trade destinations today. I do have a conversation about DK we will get to coming up later on, though, so stay tuned for that. We got Liam checking in from Kona, Hawaii. I got Jim in California. I see Dan the Man Miller already with a super chat. We'll get to that coming up later. We also got Cheferton in Spokane. I got Danny in Portland. Andrew says it's about 39, maybe 40 degrees. Okay, so not too bad in Alaska. Not terrible. Who else we got here? Champ checking in from the reservation. What res are you on, Champ? Vanessa's in Austin. Vanessa, I had a great time in your city. Took care of me very well. 6th Street did me good there this past weekend. Jan is checking in from Germany. Are you in East or West Germany? That's very important to some. We've got Real Allen saying we need to draft Tyler Warren. Dan the Man checking in from Spokane. John also in Spokane as well. So we got some Spokane people in the house. We got the Gonzaga Bulldogs hanging out here with us on today's program. I got Debbie in Tacoma, Washington as well. Good to see you, Debbie. Thanks for being here with us. Dan the Man Miller with the first super chat of the day. Haven't even got to the menu yet. I will say, though, folks, because it's Monday, that means there's no mailbag. We only do mailbags on Wednesdays. The only way you can get on screen today is by sending us a super chat. $sign next to the chat box if you'd like to contribute, and you can get your name, message, and avatar on screen, and we will pay it off and react to it accordingly on today's program. We begin with Dan the Man Miller. Let's go, Dan. Let's go, Dan. We love Dan the Man Miller. He wants to party today. He says, if we went after Dart, where would we draft him in? I'm hoping we draft okay first. We need major help there. You know, I'll say this, Dan. Some people aren't going to like this, but I'm here to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. If Seattle does go with Jaxson Dart, I think they'd have to use a first-round pick on him, if they do. I don't anticipate him being available when Seattle picks in the second round or later. So if John Schneider likes Jaxson Dart, and that's what the direction they decide to go, then I would think that it would be a first-round pick if they are going to go that route and go with Jaxson Dart. And they had a very good meeting with Jaxson Dart at the NFL Draft Combine. We'll talk more about Jaxson Dart coming up in our draft meetings segment coming up later on. But Dan, everybody spam Dan in the chat. Show Dan some love for being the first super chat of the day. I haven't got to the menu yet, but here's what I owe Dan the Man Miller, unless he says otherwise. First time super chatter, that should say equals Seahawks chant, and T should be capitalized. $5, and that says Bears cheers. It should say Bears cheers. Yeah. Here's what we got today, folks. Not Bears cheers. Bears cheers for every $5 super chat. $10 for taking shots. $20 get bean boozled. $50 do a beer bong. First time super chatter, you get the Seahawks chant. We will give you a worthy induction into the show if you are a first time super chatter. And if we reach $300 today, then we will do a boot. So that's 3 beers in one. We drink it as fast as we can and have a great time. We did a boot last Monday. I don't see any reason why we can't do a boot today as well. So we'll see if you guys can make that happen. What? T's still not capitalizing first-time super chatter. Let's see. So with that said, let's do our first Bean Boozled of the day. Dan, is everybody spamming Dan? By the way, I'm not seeing any Dans in the chat. I told you I'll show some love to Dan the Man Miller for sending in that first super chat of the day. All right, what's it going to be? What is going to be the bean of choice? All right, so I either have one of two options here, folks, and I won't know until we find out all together here. I have grabbed either a dead fish or strawberry banana smoothie. What's it going to be? Do you guys think this is dead fish, or do you think this is strawberry banana smoothie? I'll tell you this much. It is either going to be very pleasant or very disgusting, one way or the other. And there's only one way to find out with this jelly bean. So let's go ahead and see what it is. Is it dead fish or strawberry banana smoothie? One bite. Everyone knows the rules. Here we go. Oh, that's dead fish. Oh. Yeah, that's bad. That's like a dead catfish or something. Oh. Good Lord. That's straight from the Columbia River. Oh. The Columbia River is beautiful, by the way. Oh. Dan says dead fish would be hilarious. It is dead fish. Yeah, that's straight from the Columbia. Oh. Like a catfish, maybe a trout or something. Oh. God. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. I love the Columbia River. One of the most beautiful sights, I think, in the country. But that fish straight from the Columbia River was not great in that jelly bean flavor. I can tell you that much. Oh, that was disgusting. That was gross. I need to wash that down with some water. Oh, that was bad. If you want to be like Dan and send in a super chat and get on the show and make us do some crazy stuff around here, there is the super chat menu. First time super chatters get the Seahawks chant. $5 do a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 bean boozled. $50 will do a beer bong. $sign next to the chat box if you'd like to contribute and take part in today's show. Ugh, that was gross. That was absolutely disgusting. But hey, you know what? We do it for Dan the Man Miller because Dan is worthy, and we appreciate him for supporting us. All right, quiz time. We've been doing this the last couple of shows, position by position. So let's go to wide receiver now. How many Seahawks all-time wide receivers can you name? And here is my only stipulation. They have had to have been, at some point in time, on the active 53-man roster. If you give me a player that has only been a practice squad player or a player that was on the preseason or training camp roster, they do not count. Who can come up with the most? How much ball do you know? This is your chance to show your ball knowledge and see how many all-time Seahawks wide receivers you can potentially name. And we'll quiz you guys and see who can come up with the most there in the chat right now. I'm checking in. I'm not seeing anything. Vanessa's got Doug Baldwin and DK, so there's 2. We can do more than 2. I mean, come on now. Put as many as you can in your individual comment. All right? I want to see a little effort today. If I'm going to make the effort to produce this show for you and come up with good content, I want to see effort from the 12s on this quiz today. See who's got who knows ball the most. Ray says 20. Ray, I don't see any names, so that doesn't count. You got to give me 20 names then. Liam's got Lockett. Okay, that's one. Here we go. Zach's got some names here. Golden Tate, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, JSN, Jake Bobo, Doug Baldwin. So that's 7. That is 7 that Zach has. Trell says, man, can we get to the mock draft already? Trell, we got a long show here, all right? Be patient, all right? I don't want to hear any complaining around here. We're giving you 2 live shows a week now, all right? No complaining. We got more content than ever before. We'll get to it when we get to it. Vanessa says Daryl Turner, so that puts Vanessa at 3. Joshua named Golden Tate, Steve Largent, DK, Doug Baldwin, Tyler Lockett. That's 5 for Joshua. Zach still has the most so far with 7 that he's come up with. Who can come up with more than 7? Like Ray says that he can name 20, but I haven't seen 20 names. So, Ray, you got to prove it. Liam says Michael Dixon, the punter? Yeah, not quite. Let's see. Ryan says I had 9. Here we go. Steve Largent, Tyler Lockett, Ricardo Lockett, Doug Baldwin, DK Metcalf, Jermaine Kearse, Paul Richardson. Okay, so Ryan's got 9. I like that. Okay, so Ryan's got the number to beat. Can anybody name more than 9? Let's see what you guys can come up with. Another super chat rolling in. This is going to be a shot courtesy of Dan the Man Miller. Dan the Man going hard today. I love the effort from Dan the Man Miller. He's not backing down whatsoever and making his presence known here on today's show. He's going hard today. And we will be live next week for free agency, by the way. We'll have free agency coverage here on the channel. TBD on exactly the times and days. A lot of it will have to do kind of with who the free agent signings are. But nonetheless, we will be doing some special live free agency shows next week. So don't miss out on that right here on Seattle Seahawks Today for live free agency coverage. Super chat coming in from Dan the Man Miller. $10 super chat. He says, we have a lot of picks. Could there be a scenario that we move up to get one of the top 2 quarterbacks? So what Dan the Man is referencing is Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And at this point in time, and obviously there's still over a month to go till the draft, so a lot could change. But at this juncture, there has been no, at least public discussions or no details of any interest from Seattle potentially trading up for Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. Things can change. There's a lot of time between now and then. But at least right now, that doesn't appear to be something that is discussed. So I would say no for now, but hey, a lot could change. A lot could happen between now and when the NFL draft gets here that weekend at the end of April. But it doesn't seem like that is on the radar, at least for now, but we'll see where things go. Dan, that's a shot for you. Much appreciated. Dan, salute to you. Go Hawks. Cheers. Everybody raise your glass. I'm just going straight from the bottle of Patron today. Going to the Patron zone. Cheers to you, Dan. Go Hawks. Oh, I can feel it. I can feel it right here. I can feel it right here, folks. That is something. That's some powerful stuff there from Dan the Man Miller. Much appreciated. Thanks for doing that, Dan the Man Miller. All right, next up, as we continue today's show, I got 68 people here already. Good start, but obviously we can do better than that. We need to wake up the algorithm a bit, let people know we're here, that we're bringing you this live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. So here's what I need over this next minute. I'm going to put a minute on the clock. I need you guys to spam S as much as humanly possible for this next minute. I'm going to shout out everybody in the chat at Spam and S. And we're going to see who's going to be the early favorite to be the MVP of today's program. All you got to do is start spamming S, and let's see how many S's we can get over this next minute. And hopefully that helps out the audience to get more people here to be hanging out with us and talking Seahawks football. Look, I am of the belief, folks, that you should be here for every single live edition of Seahawks Today as much as possible. and that you should be watching every single video that we post on the channel every day. We sometimes post 2 and 3 videos a day. I expect from you guys to watch every single video. And sometimes YouTube is a little janky and doesn't do a great job of pushing content out there to everybody, making it accessible. And so we got to help out the algorithm to let people know we're here, that we're live, and we're bringing you this edition of Seahawks Today. So here we go. Let's see how many S's we get this next minute. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. I got Josh, Ryan, Ray, Vanessa, Josh, Ryan, Vanessa, Josh, Vanessa, Tyler, Archie, Ray, Joshua, Zach, Archie, Josh, Ray, Rich, Ray, Vanessa, Archie, Vanessa, Zach, Ray, Zach, Dan, Zach, Josh. Tyler watches every video. Thank you. Nicholas, Rich, Ray, Dan, Zach, Nicholas, Ray, Archie, Ryan, Josh, Vanessa, Archie, Rich, Nicholas, Ray, Nicholas, Vanessa, Archie, Dan, Ray, Joshua, Ron, Nicholas. Keep going. About 30 seconds to go. Faster, faster. Pick up the pace. I got Ural, Zach, Archie, Ray, Robert, Vanessa, Nicholas. Let's get some new names in there. Get some new names in there. Nicholas, Archie, Robert, Vanessa, Ryan, Tyler, Josh, Ray, Ryan, Vanessa. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. Finish strong. Robert, Ryan, Ural, Ryan, Josh, Tyler. Very good. Very good. Nice work, everybody. Thanks for helping us out and getting in the chat and making your presence known. Let's have ourselves a great live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. So who was it earlier? Was it Trell, the photographer, that was complaining about getting to the mock draft yet? We got a ways to go before we get to the mock draft segment. But the way you can speed up the process for us to get this show started, to get to our news and rumors, then get to the mock draft, then get to our major moves segment, is by hitting the like button on today's video. All right? We get 24 likes right now. Not a bad start, but let's get to at least 40 likes, and we'll get today's show started. And I will crack open a cold can of Miller Lite. I have plenty of Miller on hand today, and if this show gets too wild, we can always grab more beer because there's plenty of beer here at Chat Sports. We never have to worry about that. So do your part. Hit the like button. And when you like the video, type me in the chat, and I'll shout you guys out. Let me know when you guys hit that like button, and we certainly appreciate you guys for doing so. And, it's like taking your shoes off when you enter somebody's home. It's the right thing to do is hitting that like button. And let's see. Let me know when you guys like the video. Ural's checking in from Moses Lake, Washington. Good to see you. Samurai says, let's do this. Hey, let's do this. Let's get turning here. Archie, this is real beer. What are you talking about? It is a fine Pilsner beer. It has not been opened. All right? It is a real beer. I don't know what I have to do. Some of you guys are hard to please. I don't know why. We have a fun time around here. And so sometimes I check the comments section, and the chat gets kind of demanding of sorts, which is so funny because, like, at the end of the day, we're bringing you free content here, people. Like, come on. Who all hit the like button? Josh liked the video. Dan liked the video. Archie says light beer sucks. Hey, I lost a lot of weight. You guys know this. You see the intro video. I look a little different than I did about this time a year ago. Drinking light beer kind of helps my cause. All right, I gotta settle for light beer sometimes. Bud Heavy, just does. I don't feel good after drinking heavy beer sometimes. Vanessa liked the video. Ural says I'm a lightweight. I'm not a lightweight. By no means am I a lightweight. Dan says the best because it's Miller time. Hey, it's Miller time here on Seahawks Today. It is definitely Miller time. We're not drinking Bud Light, though. We are an anti-Bud Light show around here. It's not good beer. Bud Light is water. It's disgusting. Josh says it's pea water. Archie liked the video. Lon says, yes, sir. Thomas just got here. Welcome in. I need one more like, and then we can start today's show. Jefferson says, liked it, good sir. Thank you. Archie says, you look good. Archie, you look even better. You look even better. Much appreciated. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Archie says he's drinking Patron. I do have Patron here. There we go. There's 40 likes. Now we can get this show started. We will begin with our news and rumors as we'll go over the complete list of combine visits for the Seattle Seahawks. And then after that, we'll do our post-combine mock draft. And then we're going to talk about major moves that could, I'm not saying they will, but could be made this week. This week, folks, just to give you perspective, is the most important week of the offseason so far for the Seattle Seahawks. That's how big this week is. We'll explain more coming up later. So that's what's ahead here on this live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. Let's go ahead and get started. Begin with our news and rumors. As we're talking combine meetings, we'll go over the list of players that we know. And I'll preface this by saying there could be more guys Seattle has met with, but we don't know publicly. This is what we know of the meetings to this point. About 20 players, at least, that they met with at the Combine in Indianapolis last week. We'll go over that coming up in just a bit. All right, let's get started here. This live edition of Seahawks Today on this Monday. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. We begin with our news and rumors, our final wrap-up on the NFL Combine from Indianapolis. That begins here on this live edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, starting right now. You're watching Seattle Seahawks Today, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. I got a little quiz to start today's show. Since we're talking about the draft, I want to know how much ball you know. Here's a trivia question for you. Who was Seattle's first-round pick in 1995? If you know the answer, go ahead and tell us in the comments section right now. If you don't, that's okay too. We'll have the answer for you coming up at the end of today's show. Let's get started here on Seahawks Today. The 2025 NFL Draft Scouting Combine is in the books. And on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today, we're going to catch you up to speed on all of the combine meetings that we know of that happened for Seattle this past week in Indianapolis. To our knowledge, there was meetings with at least 20 prospects, and that's just of what has been said publicly. There's obviously more meetings that could have happened, potentially speaking, but this is what we can confirm according to our sources and players that have spoken forward. So let's go ahead and go over that full list of names for you. Starting with Jaxson Dart, quarterback from Mississippi. Most people are regarding him as the number 3 quarterback in this year's draft behind Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And after a good Senior Bowl week, his stock is starting to rise. And there are conversations about him potentially being taken in the first round. We'll talk more about Jaxson Dart coming up later on. Cobee Bryant, one of my favorite players in this draft, not just because he played for my school, the University of Kansas, but he is a great athlete. He's a great teammate, and I think he's a sneaky good find in this draft. I think he's got potential, even though he'll likely be a day 3 pick, to be a day 1 starter in the National Football League. Also on the list includes Nick Emmanwori, the safety from South Carolina. He had a very good week at the NFL Draft Scouting Combine. There's a lot more attention being directed his way. At tight end, Terrence Ferguson, not the former Oklahoma City Thunder draft pick Terrence Ferguson. No, we're talking about the tight end from Oregon who had a pretty decent campaign with the Oregon Ducks this year as they won the Big Ten Conference and went on to play for the Rose Bowl this past season. Jalen Conyers, another tight end, this one from Texas Tech. He also made the interview list, as did Quincy Riley, a defensive back from Louisville. Remains to be seen if he's going to be a corner or a safety at the next level. We shall see. Also on the list is Isaiah Thomas, the corner from Florida State. And another guy we've spent a lot of time about here on this program, Armand Mimbo, the offensive tackle from Missouri. Some people think that he's going to play guard at the next level. He has seen his stock rise. He's expected to be a first-round pick and could be interesting for Seattle with some positional flexibility there. Donovan Jaxson from the Ohio State. I got the chance to personally meet Donovan Jaxson at the Cotton Bowl back in January, and I was very impressed with Donovan Jaxson, a very good leader, and he's another one that they're not so sure. Is he a guard or is he a tackle at the next level? Will Campbell, the offensive tackle from LSU, we'll have more on him coming up later in the show. Will Campbell is a guy that is very intriguing to me. Some people think he's the best offensive lineman in this year's draft. He certainly looks the part, and I think that this is a guy that I would be surprised is available when Seattle picks, but if he is, it'd be hard to pass up on him if he is there. Also on the list, another guy that's seen his stock rise is North Dakota State offensive lineman Gray Zabel, who played at the FCS level. It'll be a big transition, of course, going from that to the NFL. Clay Webb, offensive guard from Jacksonville State, also on this list. And Big Jonah with the hair from Arizona. He's another one at the offensive guard spot. A lot of people talking about him. Jalen Rivers, the offensive tackle / offensive guard from Miami. And Tate Ratledge, the offensive guard from Georgia. He confirmed his meeting in his interview on Saturday at the Combine. And then a few more names. They include Jared Wilson, the center from Georgia. Cameron Williams, offensive tackle from Texas. Tyler Booker, offensive guard from Alabama. A lot of people are projecting Booker to Seattle at 18. And Brandon Crenshaw-Dixon, the offensive tackle from Florida, as well as Jalen Knoll, the wide receiver from Iowa State, who had a big season this past year, helping lead the Iowa State Cyclones to the Big 12 championship game, had over 1,000 yards receiving in a very prolific offense there in Ames. A lot of players I like among the 20 that we know about. But the big thing for me that stands out just looking across the board of what Seattle did this past week was the emphasis on the offensive line. By far and away, the majority of players they met with were offensive linemen. And it is clear that John and Mike and company, they are doing their homework when it comes to the offensive line and trying to find offensive line help. And what have we talked about a lot this offseason? The number one priority is fixing the offensive line and giving Geno Smith proper protection. And based on what we're seeing here, Seattle is putting their focus there, making that the priority to fix this offensive line and doing what they can to figure out the best offensive line to help that situation. So let's put you on the clock now. Who should the Hawks draft in the first round? If you had to choose one name, who would it be and why? Weigh in our pinned comment today. Let us know who you think that first-round pick should be for the Hawks. Today's show is sponsored by Tushy. I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of Tushy, and you will be too, folks. March Madness is a sacred time of yelling at the TV while recovering from elective surgery. If you, like thousands of other men, are overlapping a vasectomy recovery with nonstop basketball, get a bidet. You're going to need a gentle touch in the bathroom. It's almost time to do my favorite dance of putting away the snowblower and getting out the lawnmower, only for it to dump a fresh 8 inches. While I wait for the weather to not cut my face, I'm going to be spring clean my life, starting in the bathroom. Listen, that extra hour of daylight is so good for the mental health, but so hard on the morning routine. If you, like me, take 20 minutes to do your business on the toilet at the best of times, you need to get a bidet. Tushy helps me elevate comfort in the bathroom while getting me out the door sooner. Aura is Tushy's brand new electric bidet with an auto open lid and seat, instant warm water that never runs cold, and UV sterilation for next level hygiene. Aura by Tushy easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. Reclaim your comfort zone in the bathroom for a limited time. Our listeners get 10% off their bidet order when you use code ChatSports. Checkout, that's 10% off your bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code ChatSports. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Maybe you're like me. I'll be honest. I've been constipated for about 3 days. Haven't been able to take a poop. But eventually when I do, I'm going to be very glad that I had Tushy to help clean out my problem there. So check it out. Link is in the comments and description of today's video. Tushy, proud partner of Seahawks today. All right. Let's talk about Jaxson Dart. Let's begin with him. He began his career with USC. Lincoln Riley comes in, and he brings Caleb Williams with him. So Jaxson Dart decided to move on to Ole Miss and join Lane Kiffin. And he had the best season of his career this past year with Ole Miss. He was a first-team All-SEC selection. He also was awarded the Connerly Trophy this past year. When it comes to Jaxson Dart, here's my big issue, all right? This Ole Miss team this year and last year had high hopes and expectations. They thought that they were going to be a contender for the SEC. They thought they had a realistic shot to make the college football playoff each of the last 2 seasons. And they came up short of expectations. And they lost games they should not have lost to teams like Florida and among others, while still able to beat teams like Georgia. And the thing for me was that they came up short and lost games they shouldn't have had, and Jaxson Dart was a big reason why. You can't blame everything on him, but he, I think, is at blame for Ole Miss's shortcomings of why they couldn't get it done and couldn't get over the hump. So although he looks the part, and the numbers that we show you look pretty good, I look at the eye test, and I see a guy that couldn't get the job done when it mattered. And to me, that's very worrisome for a guy that wants to be a franchise quarterback at the next level. His scouting report, he's got good touch and velocity. He's a functional athlete, a good play extender. He throws on the move. He's got a snappy release. But here's the big red flag of it all, folks. He has a slower mental process. That's not great when you had to make quick decisions in this league, and especially with Seattle's concerns on the offensive line. I can't have a quarterback taking his time to think back there. So Jaxson Dart, I know there's more talk about him being the 18th overall pick for Seattle. I don't feel great about that. Should the Hawks draft Jaxson Dart? You got 2 options here. Type D for draft, P for pass. Way in the comments section. Let us know if you draft Jaxson Dart or not. Let's talk Will Campbell now. Played for the LSU Tigers from 2022 to 2024. He was the Jacobs Blocking Trophy Award winner this past season, a consensus All-American, a 2-time first-team All-SEC selection, and there's talk of him playing tackle or guard, either one at the next level, which is good for Seattle. As we've said time and time again over the last few weeks, what you're looking to do with this offensive line is you need athletes. You just need to assemble the best 5 on this offensive line and find spots for them. So Will Campbell, I would think, would be a guy that you can find a spot for, who's, I think, the best lineman in this draft. And I would be surprised if he's available at 18, but if he is, by all means, you would be thrilled. You would be running to the podium to hand the card to Roger Goodell to announce that Will Campbell is going to be your pick. The grades don't really do Will Campbell justice for how good he was either as well. Overall grade of 70.8. Pass block grade, very strong, 80.9. Run block grade of 67.1. But the scouting report, that's where it gets fun when it comes to Will Campbell. Excellent balance, especially for a big fella, too. You'll love hearing that. Very good play strength. He did a good job navigating double teams as well. He took on those double teams and was able to find ways to work around them very impressively. He's got renowned leadership skills. This is the type of guy, folks, that you want your daughter to marry. I mean, he is just a gentleman of a human being. Now, He does have mediocre arm length, though, and that's why there's potential talk of him potentially playing guard as opposed to playing the tackle position. So, with that said, I don't think Will Campbell is going to be available at 18. If you want him, you might have to trade up to get him. Would you be willing to trade up for Will Campbell? If you're John Schneider, would you trade up to get him? Got two options here. Type Y for yes and for no. Chime in. Let us know what you would do. Let's talk Tyler Booker now. And Tyler Booker played for Bama the last 3 seasons. First-team All-American selection. 2-time first-team All-SEC choice in 2023 and in 2024. He is, in my opinion, the best pure guard in this draft. Obviously, we've talked about guys like Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks and others that might move, might transition, not that type of transition, from tackle to guard. But as far as guys that it's their natural position, Tyler Booker is just that. And he's seen his stock rise, and I think it's realistic for him to come in and start day one at the left guard spot for Seattle. I don't think Laken Tomlinson's coming back. I think if you draft Tyler Booker, your realistic expectation is we just found our starting left guard and roll with that from there. Pass block grade was fantastic. 86.5 was the grade that he had pass blocking wise. Run blocking could use some work. 63.9. Didn't allow any sacks. Did get called for 7 penalties. Overall grade of 66.5 there. Massive, dense build. He does show some burst on pulls, which, I mean, is a game changer when you got some guards that can move like that. He's got good pad level, low man wins, square power, delivers body blows, and he does have some mediocre foot quickness. So he shows burst on the pulls, but the quickness initially out of the gate isn't always that great. If you had to pick a lineman, which one of these two would you choose from? Would you rather have Will Campbell or Tyler Booker? Type WC for Will Campbell. Type TB for Tyler Booker. Let us know. All right, the guy I'm most excited to talk about today, Cobee Bryant from the University of Kansas. Rock Chalk Jayhawk, baby. Played for KU from 2021 to 2024. He was named a second-team All-American selection this past season. And I think a lot of it had to do with the bias that the mainstream media has against the Kansas Jayhawks. They looked at this Kansas team and said, hey, they only won 5 games this year. He played in the Big 12, didn't play in the SEC or the Big 10. Had he played at a bigger program, he, I think, would have been a first-team All-American selection. 3-time first-team All-Big 12 performer. And I got to say, I've watched almost every game of Cobee Bryant's career. I've had some chats with his dad via direct message before. And, I mean, comes from a good family. His dad and I had a back and forth about him wearing the number 2 because I said that, hey, if your name's Cobee Bryant, because he actually goes by Cobee now. He didn't always go by that. Then he should wear 8 or 24. And his dad got in my DMs and is like, well, I like the number 2. And so, like, it was all lighthearted. It was all fun. But the thing I've seen from him, watching him over the years, is he's got that alpha dog in him, which you look at these corners across the NFL, college football, high school, and all levels. You got a lot of these corners that are soft, that don't like to be aggressive, that don't like to tackle. That's not the case with Cobee Bryant. And I'm going to put my name on this. Put your name on it. He is going to be a success in the National Football League. I am that confident in Cobee Bryant. His statistics, very good. 4 interceptions each of the last 2 seasons, 3 interceptions in 2022. I mean, he's a turnover machine. He does it all. And he's also great in coverage, too. Allowed a QB rating of just 62.7, 11 pass breakups, only 2 touchdowns allowed this year. And teams were still throwing his direction because his opposite corner, Mello Dotson, who's also going to be picked, was very good. You had to pick your poison. And so for him to have those statistics allowed, even when they were still having to throw his direction, I thought was very good. He's a long-arm corner. He displays athleticism and ball skills. He's got the ball hawk tendencies you're looking for. He's a willing tackler. All right? I honestly think that he could come in and challenge Rick Woolen with that alone. The fact that he can create turnovers and he's willing to tackle, which we can't always say about Rick Woolen. Does have some questionable top-end speed, but overall, I like Cobee Bryant a lot. I think he's going to be a steal for whoever picks him in this draft. Before we go, as promised, our trivia question. Who was the Seahawks' first-round pick in 1995? If you guessed Joey Galloway, that's my JoJo, you'd be right. He was the pick for Seattle. Now he's delivering awful college football takes on ESPN. Appreciate you joining us here on this edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. For continuing draft and offseason coverage, subscribe now for free. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. There we go. 2 more segments to go. Did you all get excited about Cobee Bryant? You could tell I loved talking about him. I would love to see him in Seattle. I forgot to open my beer, I promise, for getting 40 likes, by the way. So here's the beer. Cheers. Should the Hawks draft Jaxson Dart? It's our poll question today. 80% of you say yes. I'm a little surprised. I'm very surprised by that. 20% say no. By the way, Big Tex is in the building. He's been a little busy, but I believe he's ready to join us now. Big Tex, I know you saw a decent amount of Jaxson Dart in the SEC this year. You guys didn't play Ole Miss this year, right? Texas, your Longhorns, I don't think, played Ole Miss.
No, we played Mississippi State.
Yeah, but you saw Jaxson Dart a bit.
Yeah.
The talent is there. He looks like it, but for me, it's the eye test of that he didn't come through when he needed to. And to me, that's concerning at the next level.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, went to the Super Chat menu. Let me go back to the weigh-in.
Well, we can stick with the Super Chat menu. That's fine.
Cool. But yeah, to kind of answer your question, I agree kind of with your take that, there was a lot of potential there for him as a player at Ole Miss. There was a lot of talent. Lane Kiffin's a really great head coach. I mean, he beat Kirby Smart, who was in the Final Four. Or not Final Four, but it was in the college football playoff, I should say. And has won several national championships. So he beat a good coach. It's just seems like Jaxson Dart himself, even though he was put in positions to succeed, didn't maximize, A, the talent around him, B, the opportunities that were there, and C, as a leader, you kind of question his ability to lead a team because he didn't capitalize fully on the successes that he could have had at Ole Miss this past season and the year before.
So this is what I point to, Tex. Do you remember when Ole Miss played Florida this year?
Yes.
So I'm watching that game.
It's crazy.
And Ole Miss, they were trailing all game long. Mm-hmm. They got a chance to come back.
Yep.
Take the lead and, get out of there alive and keep their playoff hopes alive.
Yep.
And I said to a buddy of mine as we're watching this, I said, you know what's going to happen next, right? Jaxson Dart is going to throw an interception. He's going to cost Ole Miss their chance at a comeback here. That's exactly what happened.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that Tony Romo type effect. Mm-hmm. With some guys, you can spot it when you see it. This guy is going to fold under pressure.
Oh, yeah.
This guy's not going to get it done. And that's what I see with Jaxson Dart. And that, I think, should worry teams like Seattle and others that are potentially looking at taking a high pick on Jaxson Dart. That's what I worry about there. Super Chat menu, first-time Super Chatters, get the Seahawks chant. $5 do a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 do a beer bong. Or $20 do a bean boozled. $50 do a beer bong. We have already paid off about $30 Super Chats today. We got to get to 300 if we want to do a boot. We're about 10% of the way there. So we got a ways to go. There is no mailbag today because it's Monday. Mailbag days are Wednesdays. So if you want to get on today's show, then the only way you can do so is by sending us a Super Chat. $sign next to the chat box. You get whatever message. Maybe you have a question for me. Maybe you have a take you want to go out there. Look, there's all sorts of messages in the chat. I cannot see every message in the chat. The only way I can guarantee that you can get on screen and that I can respond and see your message is by sending us a Super Chat. $sign next to the chat box if you would like to contribute. Up next is mock draft time. This is our post-combine mock draft. It is also our last mock draft before NFL free agency begins a week from today. We'll go over all of my selections. It's our first 7-round mock draft. We'll break it down for you. And then after that, we're going to talk about some major changes that are coming for Seattle this week. All that and more as we roll along. Glad to have you with us in this live edition of Seahawks Today. Let's continue. Segment 2, mock draft starts right now. Glad to have you with us here on Seahawks Today. Tyler Jones here, and it is time for our third Seattle Seahawks mock draft. And here's a couple things to note on this mock draft, folks. Number 1, this is our post-combine mock draft. Number 2, this is our last mock draft before NFL free agency begins next week. And then number 3, folks, this mock draft we're bringing you is our very first 7-round mock draft. We'll go over every single pick. So plenty to get to. Glad to have you guys here. Before we go any further in today's show, we are doing a new sub-battle from now until the draft begins. We want to see between some NFC rivals of other channels, the 49ers report and the Cowboys report, who can gain the most subscribers. Right now, everybody's tied at 0. We're starting from scratch. Who can gain the most new subs from now until the draft? Let's see if we can make it happen for daily Seahawks coverage. News and rumors, live shows twice a week. We're talking free agency, draft, trades, and more. You got to subscribe to the channel. Let's win this sub-battle from now until the draft right here on the channel. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get you our first 7-round mock draft, our third mock draft of the offseason, and this comes after the NFL Draft Scouting Combine. Let's kind of set the scene for you here of how things look for Seattle heading into the draft. These are the draft picks for the Hawks. They pick at 18, 50, 82, and 136. And then they also pick at 171, 183, 210, and 234. The outlook for Seattle. Here's some things that you need to know as far as the outlook goes. This is Mike Macdonald's second season as the Seahawks head coach. They enter the offseason with about $13.46 million in cap space, and they have some needs they need to address from offensive tackle, interior, edge, corner, linebacker, quarterback, tight end, and wide receiver. Are there enough picks to fill all their needs? That remains to be seen. Now, the way we've done this is we've gone to the Pro Football Focus Simulator, and PFF has made all the picks for the other 31 teams. And then I get to be John Schneider and make the picks for Seattle. So for the first pick, here are the last 5 picks that were taken. Malachi Starks, the safety from Georgia, went to Miami at 13. Mike Green, the edge rusher from Marshall, went to the Colts at 14. Jahad Campbell, the linebacker from Bama, went to Atlanta at 15. Kenneth Grant, the defensive tackle from Michigan, went to Arizona at 16. And Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle from Mississippi, went to Cincinnati at 17. So who does that leave us with? The best available at 18 includes Kelvin Banks, the offensive tackle from Texas, Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan, Josh Simmons, the offensive tackle from The Ohio State, Derek Harmon, the defensive tackle from Oregon, and Emeka Ibuka, the wide receiver from Ohio State. So without further ado, the pick is in. Dun, 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 dun. With the 18th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Kelvin Banks Jr. from the University of Texas. And I got to tell you, I'm a big fan of Kelvin Banks. This is the second straight mock draft that we've taken Kelvin Banks with the Seahawks' 18th overall pick. If he's available, still there, and granted, I would be surprised if he's still there, but if he is, I can't pass up on him. Won all the awards this year, the Outland, the Lombardi, the Jacobs Blocking Award, unanimous All-American, first-team All-SEC, and he did it all. He was very good when it came to his overall grade of 85.0, his pass block grade of 88.2, his run block grade of 80.9, and he made a smooth transition from the Big 12 to the SEC this past season. His scouting report, he's got smooth footwork. He's got the moves like Jagger. He's patient, and he also can be trusted in space. He's got desired agility out of his stance. consistent initial point of attack. He leans too much in pass pro. And I'll say this. I know what some of you may be thinking right away. A tackle? We could Trolls Cross and Abraham Lucas. I'll find a way to get Kelvin Banks on my starting line. Some people think he might be a guard. Maybe I move Abraham Lucas to guard. Whatever it may be, the job of John Schneider and this offensive staff is going to be to get the best 5 out there, to play positionless, basically. I'll find a way to make it work with Kelvin Banks and Abraham Lucas. We're going to be fine. Should the Seahawks draft Kelvin Banks? Type S for select, P for pass. Give me your choice and let us know what you would go with here. All right, so now we move to the second round here. And here's who's available at 50. We can go with Braden Swinson, the edge rusher from LSU. We can go Jaden Higgins, the wide receiver from Iowa State. Kim Scadaboo, running back from Arizona State. We can go JTT, edge rusher from Ohio State. Or we could go linebacker with Carson Schwinzger. And with that said, the pick is in. Dun, 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 with the 50th overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select JTT, edge rusher from The Ohio State. This guy was a man among boys this season and really his entire career at Ohio State. He was pivotal in the Buckeyes' national championship run this past season, a 3-time first-team All-Big Ten selection. With Seattle likely moving on from Draymond Jones, potentially Uchenna Nwosu, they're going to need some pass rushers. And JTT can come in and be an immediate impact guy right away. Last season, 12.5 sacks, 51 pressures, 2 forced fumbles. Year prior to that, 5 sacks, 3.5, 2.5. You can see he got better each and every year he was in the Big Ten Conference. Good size and frame. He looks the part of an edge rusher in the National Football League. He's got impressive upper body strength, has the ability to shed blockers, which is obviously very important in his position. Solid spin move. He does lack a bit of bend and balance, but I think that can be worked on. I think it would be a great pick for Seattle if they can get him there in the second round. Should the Seahawks draft JTT? What do you guys think? You got 2 options here. You can type Y for yes, in for no. Let me know who you would pick there in the second round if you go JTT or not. We skip ahead to the third round now, the 82nd overall pick, and we're going quarterback here. The Seattle Seahawks select Oregon quarterback Dillon Gabriel at 82nd overall. Dillon Gabriel, I've watched a ton of Dillon Gabriel football. All right, I saw his entire season at Oregon, saw his 2 seasons at Oklahoma, and prior to that at UCF. Dillon Gabriel, I got to tell you, I like Dillon Gabriel a lot for a number of reasons. First-team All-American, Big Ten MVP, and Offensive Player of the Year this past season with the Oregon Ducks. They were undefeated in the regular season, won a Big Ten title, went to the Rose Bowl. Dillon Gabriel was fantastic. And you look at what he's done. It hasn't mattered who the head coach was, who the talent around him was. Dillon Gabriel has been a winner. He has been a game maker. He's been a playmaker. He's been able to do it all. And that's even with not necessarily having the best body, right? He's been banged up from time to time. He doesn't necessarily have great arm strength, but he makes do with what he has. It kind of reminds me, folks, of a name that Seahawk fans are going to like hearing this. Reminds me of Russell Wilson, is what I see when I see Dillon Gabriel. And you pick him in the third round potentially. That also sounds similar to Russ in that sense. And not to mention he's moved around different schools like Russ did as well, finished his career at Wisconsin. I think you'd be very pleased. Although he doesn't have the strongest arm, he's got good athleticism. He's an incredible leader. I think back to the Red River Shootout last season. Oklahoma, they need a drive. They need Dillon Gabriel to come through. And he leads a grown man drive down the field against the almighty Texas defense. Nobody gave Oklahoma a chance in that game. Said that they couldn't beat Texas, that Texas was the far superior team. They just got blown out by them the previous year, 45-0. And Dillon Gabriel leads the game-winning drive, finds Nick Anderson open in the end zone, leads them to victory. And he's been well-liked, well-respected everywhere he's been. He came into Oregon as a veteran. Lots of college experience. I mean, he started more games than any other quarterback in the history of college football. And what did he do? He came in like he'd been there the entire time. That team rallied around him, and it wasn't the first time he had done that. He wins with timing and rhythm, which that's stuff that you can't necessarily teach. He's got that natural instinct, but he does have our average arm talent. All right? You're not going to be asking Dillon Gabriel to throw 75 and 80-yard bombs. That's just not going to happen. But he's going to get it in those tight windows, and he's going to be very accurate, and he's going to be able to use his legs. What do you think about Dillon Gabriel? Should the Hawks draft Dillon Gabriel? Type HY for hell yes, HN for hell no. I like the idea. As a day 3 or later pick, what do you guys think? Chime in the comments section. Seahawk hats are on sale now for 50% off. Wool supplies last. We have the baseball cap style. We have the flat bill version. All sorts of hats, just like the ones you're seeing on your screen now. And we have others available at the same place, chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. Go see for yourself at chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. We also have other Seahawks merchandise available for you as well. Check it out today, chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Let's go through the rest of the mock draft, the other picks. We're going to go to the pick at 137. That's where we find Oklahoma safety Billy Bowman Jr., a former teammate of Dillon Gabriel's at OU. Billy Bowman, a heck of an athlete. And you talk about leaders, Billy Bowman is that guy as well, a do-everything safety. Seattle, you got Julian Love, you got Cobee Bryant, but I think you need some more depth there. And Mike Macdonald wants the ability to play 3 safeties. Billy Bowman could give Seattle that flexibility to do that. Then we go to 173. We get some offensive line help. Again, the second offensive lineman we take, we go with USC center Jonah Monheim at 173. And this provides some competition for Olu. You get some more depth at that position as well. Makes a ton of sense. Then we go to 186, and we take Dillon Gabriel's teammate, another former teammate of Dillon Gabriel's. It's like the Dillon Gabriel's draft here. We go with Oregon offensive tackle Johnny Cornelius at 186 there, and this guy's a big dude. I can tell you that much, and obviously played in the Pacific Northwest would be a natural fit there. I think that's a good find for him at 186. We go to 212. Tight end, obviously, something that Seattle's going to look at. And we didn't necessarily prioritize that in this draft because Loveland and Warren were not available when we picked at 18. I know we had to wait for this here, but this is somebody that's seen his stock potentially move up a bit. He impressed over the last few weeks. Watch out there. And then our final pick, we're going with Theo Wease, who also played at Oklahoma, believe it or not. Finished his career with the Mizzou Tigers. He looked a little slow at the combine, all right? But he does have good hands. I don't need him to run a 4.2 out there. I just need him to get open and bring in those targets, and he can do that. I don't think it's a bad pick for the 7th round. Potential some good value there with Theo Wease at 236. Who is a player the Hawks should draft? Give me a name that comes to mind that you would like to see in Seattle. Or in that comment section, let us know who you think would be a good fit. Doesn't matter if it's first-round pick or if it's the very last pick in the draft. Give me a name you want to see with the Hawks. So to recap, here is mock draft 3.0 results. We went with Kelvin Banks in the first round, and I really love the pick. It's very rare I go with the same pick twice in back-to-back mock drafts, but he was there again. I couldn't say no. We go JTT. We get our edge rusher we're looking for. Young pass rusher that has a very successful resume, that's ready to compete at a high level. 82, we get our quarterback, Dillon Gabriel, and we may have found our quarterback of the future in the process as well. Sit him behind Geno, no rush to play him, and let's see what he could potentially do if he gets the opportunity. Then we go safety. We go Billy Bowman out of Oklahoma. Just an incredible athlete, a great teammate, great leader, and we get some flexibility at the safety spot. 173, we go with Jonah Monheim, the center from USC. 186, we get a teammate of Gabriel, Johnny Cornelius, the offensive tackle from Oregon. 212, we get our tight end help, although we waited a bit on Gadsden the second, and then we wrap up the draft with Theo Wees, the wide receiver from Mizzou. So, with that, my third mock draft. How did I do? Grade my mock draft A, B, C, D, or F. Anything less than an A, and you are a hater. What did you guys think? How did I do? Give me your grades in the comments section below. Appreciate you joining us here on Seahawks Today for continuing off-season and draft coverage. Subscribe now for free. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. All right. So how would you grade my mock draft? A, B, C, D, or F? Big Tex rejoins me right now. Big Tex, he's feeling a little mixed because I did include Kelvin Banks, but I may have included too many Sooners for your liking, Tex. So did I do enough with getting Kelvin Banks to still get an A from you, or did I hurt myself with the Sooners with my grade? What would you give me, Tex?
That's a fair question. I didn't appreciate the Sooner picks or the memory lane trip with Dillon Gabriel. That was not the best, but I'll still give you an A-. I say the Sooners bring down the average, but Kelvin Banks is an elite player, and he could be a future left tackle, or you could slot him to inside at guard, where the Seahawks definitely need some help on the offensive line. So because you selected my boy Kelvin Banks, I'll give it an A-.
A- from Big Tex.
A-.
Lon's going A+. Rich says solid B. Scotty says B. Zach says B. Then Scotty goes C. Scotty, make up your mind. Raw Hector going B-. Seahawks fan going B+, maybe A-. Steve says A. Scotty saying C. Raw Hector says B-. For any of you out there that gave me less than an A, speak now or forever hold your peace. What is your reasoning for giving me less than an A? Because I thought I did a pretty good job. I found talent, and I took care of positions of need. All right? What more did you want from me? Did I wait too long on tight end? Did I wait too long on additional offensive linemen? That could be fair criticisms. But I think I took care of needs that needed to be addressed, finding valuable players, and getting guys that I liked. Archie says A+. Thank you, Archie. Much appreciated. Final segment next. Ross says the third-round pick could have been better. Who would you like better than Dillon Gabriel? Who do you like better than Dillon Gabriel in the third round? Seahawks fan says I wasn't a big fan of the Dillon Gabriel pick. Besides that, it was a good A-. Raw Hector says A, little reach. Archie's gave me an A+ because I'm drinking tequila. Okay, whatever works. I'll take it. Super Chat menu. If you'd like to get on today's show, first time Super Chat is get Seahawks chant. $5, give you a beer cheers. $10, take some shots. $20, get being boozled. $50, do a beer bong. $sign next to the chat box if you'd like to contribute and take part in today's show. Final segment, major moves. This is a very important week for your Seattle Seahawks. The most important week of the offseason so far. We have 4 potential moves that could be happening. And let me preface this. I'm not saying they are going to 100% all 4 of these things happen. In fact, one of the things I'm going to bring up I don't think is going to happen, but it's still possible. 4 moves that could be happening this week. Tell you what those are, and we'll wrap up. Our final segment right here on Seahawks Today begins right now. 4 big moves for the Seattle Seahawks could be happening this week. I'm saying it, and I'll continue to reiterate it over the next couple of days. This is the most important week of the offseason so far for your Seattle Seahawks, as they have some big decisions to make. We'll tell you what those are coming up here on today's show. Let me say one thing before we go any further here. Let's make this clear. I am not saying that all 4 of these things are going to happen, but I want to make it known that there's a possibility that these 4 things could be happening this week. Let's start with probably the most obvious one, and that is an end of an era, releasing Tyler Lockett. We all love Tyler Lockett. It's been a fantastic run for him in Seattle. He has done everything the right way, how he's carried himself, how he's performed on the football field. He's done nothing wrong. But all good things must come to an end, folks. When you look at Tyler Lockett, he's gotten older, his production's gone down, and he's got a cap hit of over $30 million. That's not great. And I think it leaves Seattle with no choice. Unless he is willing to take some massive pay cut of sorts, he's not coming back. It's time. Plain and simple. And in the process of moving on from Tyler Lockett, you're looking at saving $17 million. And when you look at the needs this team has to address relative to what they're getting out of Tyler Lockett and his cost, they don't have a choice in this matter. They have to move on from Tyler Lockett. I love the guy. It's been a great tenure. He's done everything the right way. But I think Seattle moves on from him. They save that money. They spend it elsewhere, whether it be on other free agents or in the draft, and get that cap flexibility because they're not in a great cap spot. They're in a better cap spot than they were a couple of weeks ago with the NFL announcing that the salary cap was jumping to $279.5 million. They need to find some money, and this is an easy way to do it. Let's show Tyler Lockett some love, though. It's all due respect around here. All right? We still love the guy. I can't wait till he comes back and raises the 12th man flag and has his name in the Ring of Honor. That's going to be a great day someday. Let's show some love to Tyler Lockett. Like the video. And I also want you to comment your favorite Tyler Lockett memory as well. Maybe he's watching. We want to make sure that we get a message loud and clear that we love Tyler Lockett. We appreciate him. Hit that like button. Comment your favorite memory of Tyler Lockett. It's been a great run, and we wish him nothing but the best going forward from here. Number 2, extending Geno Smith. Love him or hate him, this makes sense for Seattle to extend Geno Smith for a couple of reasons. And let me explain why here. Number 1, you don't have a better option at the quarterback position right now. All right? You're going to be picking 18th. You're not getting Cam Ward. You're not getting Shedeur Sanders. Those are the only 2 quarterbacks I have first-round grades on in this draft, and neither of them are going to be available in Seattle picks. So that's reason number 1. Reason number 2, the financial terms of this. If you extend him, you save $23 million against the cap, and you need that financial flexibility right now. So if he's going to be the Seahawks quarterback, you might as well extend him and help out your cap situation. And then number 3, the other point I would make when it comes to Geno Smith, of why it makes sense to extend Geno Smith at this point in time. Geno had a decent season this past year with arguably the worst offensive line in football. Okay? Take that into account. Give him the benefit of the doubt for a moment. He may have had the worst offensive line in football, and yet he still had a decent season. If they can actually invest and extend him and have some money to spend on the offensive line, how good could Geno potentially be? I think that's a realistic question. I don't think that Geno's necessarily been given a fair shake with the hand that he was dealt this past season. So I expect Geno to be back. I think an extension could be done this week and set yourself up to have that financial flexibility for free agency starting next Monday. Do you believe in Geno Smith? Are you ride or die with Geno? You got 2 options here. Type B for believe, D for don't. Even if you draft a quarterback this year, I'm still starting Geno next year, and I'm not playing that rookie till they're ready. What do you guys think? Are you still a believer in Geno Smith? Type B for believe, D for don't. Chime in the comment section and let us know. It is going to be a fun next few days here on the channel as we are going to be covering the start of free agency on Monday. We're also counting down to the draft. We're talking potential trades. There's already some movement. You've seen the Niners get rid of Debo, and there's going to be some other moves coming. Seahawks might be in the trade market themselves. We're going to be all over it here on the channel. And whether it's a breaking news video at midnight from my apartment, or if it's a live show where we're getting to party because something great happened, we're going to cover it here on Seahawks Today. I want to make sure you subscribe, and I want you to invite at least 20 of your friends to subscribe because we are in for quite the treat the next couple of days. Buckle up. Come on in and stay a while. Subscribe now to Seahawks Today. We got you covered each and every day for free. YouTube.com/Seahawks TV. Now, this one I fully expect to happen. I think Draymond Jones is getting released. And it's one of those situations where it didn't work out. You count your losses, you move on. If you're John Schneider, you don't have to beat yourself up over it. You took a chance. It didn't work. I applaud John a couple of years ago for looking at Draymond Jones and seeing that he was an emerging talent and saying, you know what, I think I can work with that guy. But you're not going to be 100% right all of the time. And that, unfortunately, was the case with Draymond Jones, where I think if you're Seattle here, you say, we tried, but it didn't work. And we'll take the L on that, and let's move forward from here. Let's go save that money, close to $12 million, and let's get younger at the position. Let's find better options here to do the job that Draymond Jones was doing. And it's one of those things where it's not personal. It's just business. And I wish it would have worked out better. Believe me, this Seahawks team would have been so much better off if Draymond Jones would have been the player that we thought we were getting when he signed a couple of years ago. But it just didn't happen to work out that way. I think you cut him, you save the $12 million, you spend it elsewhere, you go younger at the position and go forward from there. Should the Hawks release Draymond Jones? I think they should, and I think they will. What do you guys think? Type Y for yes, in for no. Chime in and let us know what you think. Seahawks hats are on sale now, 50% off while supplies last. We have the flat bill version. We have the baseball cap style. We have the hats you're seeing on your screen, as well as several other options. And they're all in one place, chatsports.com/Seahawks hats, as well as other Seahawks merchandise for your liking. My mom's birthday's coming up. My dad's birthday's coming up. Maybe I'm going to get him a Seahawks hat. Look, Mother's Day, Father's Day, not too far along from right now either. Go see for yourself. Chatsports.com/Seahawks hats, up to 50% off. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Check out the link there for more. That's chatsports.com/Seahawks hats. Last on this list of major moves that could happen this week, a DK Metcalf trade. Now, I don't think that it's going to happen, but it could. I think there is a chance this occurs. Somebody was asking me in the office today, Tyler, how likely you think it's DK Metcalf gets traded? I think it's about 15% chance right now that DK gets traded. But all it takes is one team with an offer you can't refuse. And I know there was the rumblings about the Packers last Friday, and it sounded like that's not happening, that that maybe a reporter was led the wrong direction or something, whatever it may be. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus. But with that said, it all just takes one phone call. And if somebody's offering you a first-round pick, and if they're offering you a receiver or something, then you got to at least pick up the phone and answer and think about it. And I think that's what Seattle's in. They want to keep DK. They want to extend him. But if somebody offers to overpay for DK, they at least ought to consider it. Because think about this. If you trade him, not only do you potentially get a nice return back, but you also look at potentially saving $11 million as well. So I think they're at least going to consider it. They'll answer the phone, but I don't think that they're going to take a trade when it's all said and done. I think they do end up keeping him and extending him. But if he does get traded, I think this could be the week that does happen, if it is going to happen at all. If you enjoyed today's show, you already know what to do. Hit that like button. We certainly would appreciate it. I'm Tyler Jones. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time right here on Seahawks Today. All right. There we go, folks. So we'll get back to the Super Chat menu. Fun show today. Flew by. Our poll question, about 200 votes. Should the Seahawks draft Jaxson Dart? 75% of you going yes. 25% going no on drafting Jaxson Dart. I'm going to put a minute on the clock. If we get a super chat of any amount, we stay live, keep the show going. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. It doesn't even have to be Seahawks related. We can talk about my NASCAR weekend in Austin if you guys want. I don't care. You guys know I'm a big college football, college basketball fan. Whatever's on your mind, this is your chance. If you send a super chat of any amount, we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Keep the show going. Otherwise, we'll sign off and call it a day. First-time super chatters get the Seahawks chant. $5 get you a beer cheers. $10 take some shots. $20 get being boozled. $50 to do a beer bong. Raw Hector, yeah, that's been talked about. Potentially restructuring in Nwosu. I think you might even be better off just letting Nwosu go. But they're working on something. And they've been working on something with him for a couple weeks because remember they pushed back his signing bonus deadline. Pretty boy Leon resets the shot clock. He sends in a $2 super chat with a very good question. Ty Man says go Cavs. Ty Man, I'm not allowed to say who my NBA team is on this channel. If you know, you know. But I look forward to beating you all in the NBA Finals. Seahawks fan is a Penske fan and a Ferrari fan. Seahawks fan, this next week is Phoenix Raceway in the NASCAR circuit. You got that's one of Penske's best tracks. I think you got to keep an eye on Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. Heck, even Austin Cindric potentially should be a good race for them there. Pretty boy Leon, what's going on with re-signing Ernest Jones? I think they're going to get something done. And that's also another thing that could potentially happen this week. I think they bring back Ernest Jones. There's no reason not to. He's too important to this defense. I would like to see Ernest Jones come back. But we don't have a necessarily concrete update yet of that being close to getting done at this point. So when we get updates, we'll let you know. Let's reset the shot clock. Another minute here. Super chat of any amount. We stay live. Otherwise, we sign off here. Lon says, did Tex-Mex go to Taco Bell this week? Tex, I can't imagine you being much of a Taco Bell guy.
No, definitely not. I did not go to Taco Bell.
When's the last time you went to Taco Bell?
Years ago.
Years?
Yeah, I can't even remember it.
There's a Taco Bell next to my apartment.
Okay.
And I go to it when I'm desperate. When I just need something quick, whatever. But more times than not, it disappoints me. And I still give them second chances. I do love a good Baja Blast from time to time. But, yes, Taco Bell, it's gone so downhill. Taco Bell used to be really good. And it's just lost some steam. Kind of like most fast food places, to be honest. Most fast food places have just gone extremely downhill from what they once were. And Taco Bell is no exception to that. They might actually be the best example. Taco Bell and Burger King and KFC. KFC moving here to Texas. There's a push to rename it Texas Fried Chicken. I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to keep the name. Yeah, maybe so. Rich says Taco Bell's not good for Tushy. Well, actually, I would say that you would need Tushy more because of Taco Bell. Seahawks fan says, anyway, how was Coda? The finish was awesome, but was kind of hoping Kyle Busch would win since it went a while. It was awesome. Great experience. Great track. World-class facility. I hope NASCAR comes back to Coda next year. Contract's up, but I think they're going to re-sign and return. Pretty Boy with one more super chat. We'll answer Pretty Boy's super chat, then we'll sign off. Lon says McDonald's sucks in Columbia. I like McDonald's. I am a McDonald's guy. I usually go there about once a week, in all honesty. I missed out on this round of McRib, though. I'm a little bummed about that. How would you feel about getting Iman Wari? We talked about him earlier. I think he's a good player, but I think Seattle has other needs to address that are more priority. But he's a good football player. Don't get me wrong about that. All right, we'll sign off, folks. Appreciate you being here. More coverage all week long. A big week ahead. The most important week of the offseason so far. We'll be all over it right here on Seahawks Today. I'm Tyler Jones for Big Tex. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, everybody. So long.